Hi, it's Michaela. Welcome to another one of my acrylic pouring videos where I blow very thin down acrylic paint with my blow dryer. I'm going to be using, you can see here, these really fiery colors on this gray base, doing a sort of a modified Dutch pour and then embellishing it with some gold leaf. And here is my 18 by 24 inch canvas. I'm using this really beautiful gray as my base, and it was actually created by a failed pour that I did directly before this, and that's why the light's kind of dim, because it was getting late in the day and I just kept going. But it was a split pour with white, gray, and jewel tones, and the colors and composition just were not working, so I scraped it. I got this gray and then was sort of thinking what would look good with this. So that's how I came up with this color combination, which I totally love now. And that is something that's really important in acrylic pouring, is to be able to sort of pivot when your idea is not working and think, you know, what can I do now that might work better? So I ended up creating this pour here, which is really different from my usual style, but I totally love it. And yeah, here you see me just blowing out the base layer with my blow dryer, just very thin layer of paint. The paint is diluted about 40, I would say almost 50% with water, but that's only because I live in an extremely dry climate where if I let the paint sit even for 20-30 minutes, it's going to thicken up again and I have to add more water. So that's not the same as adding 50% water directly to your paint when mixing, which might over dilute it, if that makes sense. So paint mixing is a tricky thing that really depends a lot on your climate as well. So just getting some paint on the sides, and got my first color down here, which is an indigo blue. It's hard to see. I'm going for this line pour going straight across the canvas, and that was a carmine red deep. This was a Liquitex red, which is a real bright red, and this is Amsterdam's vermilion, and this is a Pebeo very bright yellow. I'm not sure what it's called. And my last color is Pebeo iridescent gold. And just FYI, throughout this video, every time I'm layering colors, I'm doing it in exactly the same order. So here I'm showing it sped up because it's actually a super long video creating this pour. So I'm just adding some base around my colors, and then I decided I needed more color. This is my first attempt blowing out the colors. It really didn't work. I was having a bad pouring day. I've been pouring for years. I've done this technique over and over again, and I still have days where I struggle, especially when I'm going for something different. So that's just part of the process with this technique. And you saw me just scrape the colors right back into my base container. Normally I don't recommend that because you're going to get a different color base, but with this dark gray, it really just didn't make much difference. So I do this a few times in the video, and again, I don't recommend it ever normally because you're going to get a different base color. And here I'm going for a larger puddle of colors now, and I'm going to use a much larger blow dryer so it fans the paint out in a larger way. Just going to try that, and here I go, blowing out the colors. And they fan out really beautifully here, though the indigo kind of took over. So I'm adding more color now, and I'm especially going to add a lot more of the fiery, brighter colors. So I like how the indigo adds depth, but I really want to accentuate these fiery colors, and especially down the center where the indigo took over, I'm adding more of the brighter colors. I'm going to be doing the rest of the pour with a small blow dryer where I have a lot of control, and I'm just sort of blowing the colors on top of the gray is how you have to think about it. So I also, again, I'm taking off some paint in an area that I didn't like and adding base back. I really struggled at the beginning of this pour, I think because I was coming out of a failed pour and it was late in the day, but I kept going, and after this point the pour really starts to work out and I just love it in the end, and I'm super happy that I kept going. So I'm just gonna let you watch the rest of the process. Hope you enjoy it, and be right back when it's done. So I sped up this torching process. It took quite some time and you can't really see the effects of the torch well in this video. I will show it shortly in the dried result. But first, here's the overall look of the wet result. And super beautiful how these colors blend and pop on top of the gray base, with that indigo adding some depth, and really loving the overall composition, though I did struggle a lot to get this pour. So let's look at some details on the dried result. So I just want to show some of the beautiful details here, the cells and the little fine lacing that I created with the torch. I didn't show it very well when it was wet, but here you can see up close the beautiful details. And then right there, that's basically, I did like a finger swipe connecting some areas. And over here, they're just tiny little details, but it's important for a piece to have some really cool, interesting details when you get up close that maybe you only see up close, and then from far away it has a really beautiful overall look. So here is the overall look. Super happy with how these colors are still really popping on this gray base, which is a beautiful gray color dried and nice smooth finish. I also really love how the indigo has kind of a warm tone to it and is adding depth to this pour. It did lose a little bit of color pop on the edges of the pour, so I'm about to add that back with the little fine brush, and I'm going to show that next. I just used a very fine paintbrush here and some of the really orangey fiery red by Liquitex and the yellow by Pebeo to just add back some color in areas of the pour where I thought it was almost like there was like a hole or a gap, just, you know, when I'm looking at it from a distance. And this whole process took me about 35 minutes, so I'm showing some highlights of it, and it's pretty straightforward. Just, you know, add some water to the paint and using a fine brush to add color back. So here's the overall look once again, and now you can see that there's those areas on the outer parts that are filled in. So I'm showing how this large area in the center is still a part of the pour that I think is maybe slightly off balance with the rest. So I don't know if you can see there's a circle drawn in the center of the canvas. And so I'm going to show it with my hand. There's a circle, and I put a bowl on there, just a plastic bowl, and kind of traced a circle where I'm thinking if I add some gold leaf, that might look really cool as the gold leaf moves sort of in and out of the color. So yeah, I just traced it there. You can see very fine line. So I'm just adding this gold leaf adhesive with a very fine brush on the areas where I want the gold leaf to stick. And I'm just going to do section by section because it dries very quickly where I live, and you know, I only have a certain amount of time to get the gold leaf on there before it's dry. If you accidentally add too much, you can just wipe it off and then wait for it to dry and then add it again, and you can even paint over it with the base again. So now I'm going to show how I lay down the gold leaf. Because it's super fragile, you have to use this tissue paper because it just breaks off and sticks to everything. So I'm just laying down piece by piece, trying for it to not break it. And then I go on to do another section, and I'll just show the rest sped up a little bit because otherwise it's kind of repetitive. So here's the fun part where you get to use this soft gilding brush, and you just kind of very easily brush away the gold leaf that's, you know, not stuck on the canvas. You can see in that left corner there I have some area that's a little uneven, so I did paint over that again with base to sharpen up the line. And there you have it. Created this awesome circular gold highlight, kind of moving in and out of the color and connecting the piece, and I'm excited to show it up on the wall. And here it is, finally up on the wall, and I totally love it. It is not varnished, so that just shows how much these colors are just popping together, and the end result, how everything is just really working together. Love those fine lines of color that I added back with the brush, and then that gold leaf and the geometric design kind of tying everything together. So just really want to show how you can keep adapting a pour, because pouring is hard to control your outcome, but you can just keep adapting it to get the results that you want. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I totally appreciate it. Please give it a like, subscribe for more, and let me know what you think in the comments. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.